Governor-elect Dan Malloy. Next. Welcome to the Stan Simpson Show, a program about Connecticut people and compelling issues. Make it a point to drop in every week, will you please? His name is Daniel Patrick Malloy, and after some high drama in the recent election, he is the next governor of Connecticut. Today, the former Stamford mayor gives his first extensive TV interview since his election. We'll talk about his transition to power and what we can expect in the next 4 years in regards to job creation, education reform, and eliminating the state's massive debt. We're joined now by the now undisputed Governor-elect. Welcome back. You were here many months ago. You were barely a blip on the radar during the primaries. We had you on. Now you're the next governor of the state. Congratulations.
I've been called a lot of things, but barely a blip is that's pretty hurtful.
Hey, tell me the truth. Now the campaign's over.
Yeah.
More straight talk now. When you saw Tom Foley surging, and I mean surging, stand to Dan to stand, you had to be saying, I blew it.
No, I didn't. I never thought we blew it. I think, I took positions that I believed in. I didn't change those positions. I wouldn't lie to the people of Connecticut, and I had faith that we would win out. We had a strategy. We deployed that strategy. That strategy worked. We needed to pull people out of cities and make sure they voted. We did it, and I won.
All right, but when you talk about the surge, and you go back and do the autopsy, a lot of people whispered Dan Malloy was too mean in those debates. He came across as tough, as mean. And that turned people off. In hindsight, were they correct?
Listen, I think people make their own judgments. I'm not mean, but I'm tough.
Just sharp elbows, right?
I'm tough. Listen, do you want to hire a wimp to be your governor?
Prosecutor, right?
These are not the times to be sitting back. Yeah, I'm a former prosecutor. Republicans like to talk about Christie as a great governor. Well, let me tell you, he's got more edges than I do.
Tom Foley get under your skin. Some of those ads called you a liar. Get under your skin?
No, I think I probably got under his skin a little bit more.
So?
But listen, I want to thank Tom. He ran his race, ran it the way he wanted to run it. He came close to winning. He had the wind to his back, let's be honest, on a national basis. And we just fought every step of the way. I kept telling you folks it was going to be a close election, and you folks didn't want to accept it. We knew it was. We knew it from the first time we polled.
We're jaded. The media people are jaded. You know that. We're jaundiced eyed. We're jaded about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say that you were finding it hard to believe. We always thought that this was going to be a 1, 2, 3 point race at the most, and all of our planning and all of our execution was based around making sure that people in cities voted. It wasn't happenstance that we were able to get the president to come to Bridgeport on Saturday, get the former president Bill Clinton to come to Hartford on Sunday. This was pretty methodical.
You mentioned the cities. I threw out a question there on Facebook. I said, hey, I got Dan Malloy coming on. Give me some questions. A bunch of questions came back. One of them was about the cities. They said, listen, ask the new governor-elect. Remind him that the cities, Hartford, New Haven, Bridgeport, basically gave him this election. What's he going to do to revitalize the cities?
Well, listen, I am from a city. I grew up in Stamford. Stamford is a city, 120,000 people, very diverse. You came down, I don't know whether you remember this, about 5-6 years ago to Stamford.
That's right, drove around with you, that's right.
And it has a little bit of everything. Listen, I'm the first urbanist to be governor of the state of Connecticut in 50 years plus. And I understand what the problems are. It's educational systems that are dysfunctional. It's a tax over-reliance on property taxes, which is like murder in our cities. I mean, listen, this is the bargain that Connecticut long has made with people. They said, we want you to live in cities. We're going to charge you more taxes. You're not going to be as safe, and your schools aren't going to be as good. And then we wonder why cities fail.
So you're going to flip the script?
We have to change. We have to change.
How soon do you start?
Well, we start day one. I mean, actually, we start today. I hear, we're doing this show.
Sunday morning, we're starting now,
yeah,
right?
But, listen, you haven't had the governor on the show, and now you have the governor-elect. I need to speak through you and through other media outlets so the people of Connecticut actually know what I'm trying to do and what change I'm trying to bring about and in the state of Connecticut. Part of it's an urban agenda, but listen, we have an agricultural agenda, a big industry in Connecticut. We have an educational agenda. I put all of this stuff out on our website, over 76 pages of policy considerations. Some of those will be delayed because of how bad the economic environment is in Connecticut, but I felt obligated to tell you the direction I wanted to take this state as circumstances improve.
Transition time. I'm sure you're knee-deep now in figuring out who goes where. What jobs are open?
I know. What are you doing? What are you doing?
My resume's right here. Yeah. Seriously, what jobs are open? All these folks out of work.
I mean, listen,
give me a couple names.
There's 28 commissioners positions. There's deputy commissioners. There's all kinds of positions.
You're one-man stimulus package right now.
Well, everyone. Well, not every one of those positions, but many of those positions are currently held by a candidate. Some of them will stay. Most of them will be replaced.
Can you give us one name or two right now? Just give us a name.
Nancy Wyman definitely has a job, and Tim Bannon definitely has a job. My chief of staff, Lieutenant Governor. Yeah, but
anyone else out there who you thought was really interesting? Who you say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and tell the people now. This person's going to be part of the Malloy administration.
Well, Stan, you've turned me down. So listen, we'll make those announcements in a timely fashion. There's a process to honor and to go through, including some background work to be done on people. But I have a great chief of staff, Tim Bannon, who has both experience in the private sector, in insurance and pharmaceuticals and practice of law, as well as the public sector, having worked in the O'Neill administration and actually having consulted with Republican governors as well.
Democrats now rule the roost, right? For the first time in 25 years. Democratic governor, Democratic controlled House, Democratic controlled Senate, one-party rule. Is that a dangerous thing in America? One party ruling the whole roost?
Well, people ask that in the media, ask that question all through the campaign in such a way as to scare people in Connecticut. And I think that was one of the headwinds we had to overcome to win this election. Just the way you asked it. Is something wrong? Listen, I am more fiscally conservative than any governor to serve in Connecticut recently, and I'm more progressive than any governor to serve in Connecticut in recent times. So, this is an interesting combination. You're going to have to get used to it. You can be a fiscal conservative. You can be, at your very core, progressive. And in some senses, almost libertarian in some of my views. So you're going to have to get used to me.
You think there'll be checks and balances? Will there be enough checks and balances to make sure you have that sort of byplay? That interaction?
So let me ask it this way.
Sure.
We've had, quote-unquote, checks and balances. Mm-hmm. Has it worked? I mean, is Connecticut a strong state? Haven't we lost jobs for 22 years? Haven't we turned our back on some of our core industries? Haven't we failed to grow? Haven't we failed to improve education? I mean, what has that check?
You got a tough job.
What has that checks and balances done for us? Let's be honest. It hasn't. It hasn't worked. So I think the people of Connecticut ultimately decided against what they were being told in paid media, and in some cases mainline media, that they were going to go in a different direction. We elected a Democrat for the first time in 24 years. We are going to make changes, but I can assure you I'm more fiscally conservative than any governor who has served in recent times.
All right, we're going to come back with more of Governor-elect Dan Malloy. We have some Facebook questions for him, so don't go away. We'll talk about what he has in plan for the state and see what kind of meaningful change is in store for you. You're watching The Stan Simpson Show.